Hey, so today I'm coming at you with my top 8 tips or rules for giving great feedback so you can have effective, awesome, connected, loving communication with anyone in your world. This works at work, this works at home, works everywhere. First, I want to say as a caveat that you don't want to sack a relationship. I talk about this a lot. You don't want to give suggestions, offer advice, or criticize at all, as much as possible, I should say. And so really this idea of feedback is, keep feedback to a minimum. Don't think of always giving feedback. And I also want to say that feedback isn't giving suggestions, offering advice, or criticizing. So know that right there. Those things should not be present if you're truly giving feedback. Feedback is not suggesting how people should do things. Feedback is different. So let me go through, if you think that's what feedback is, I'm here to say it's different. So let me go through my 8 rules to make feedback awesome. So number 1, and this is the hardest one for most of us, is you cannot focus on changing the other person. If you're giving feedback because you want them to change and that's your intention, that's controlling. They will pick up on that and they will not change. People do not like to feel controlled, and so they will push back against anything that feels controlling. So really get that out of your head. If that's the whole reason you're doing this, then you're already off to a bad start. So it needs to be on collaborative, thoughtful communication and what you can both move forward to, not what they should do different because they're wrong. Okay. Number 2 is start any feedback with an intention to be kind. I need you to hold that in your head first and foremost and to literally set intention. I talk a lot about this. It's in my other videos. How to set intention. I call it the 18-second shift, where you literally just kind of take a moment, close your eyes if you want, or take a breath and just really think about how you want to be in the interaction. How do you want to be with this feedback? If your thinking is to be mean or vindictive or get revenge or show them or be right, you can already see, I think, that that's not going to work. When I say it that way, it becomes obvious, right? So really take a moment and think, what do I want at the end of this? How do I want to feel? How do I want the other person to feel? And set an intention to get there, to have that feeling, that whatever that is, present. Okay. Number 3 is you need to be careful of your timing. I often say that you can say what you want to say, just not when you want to say it. So if you want to give feedback to your partner who came home in a bad mood, you don't want to do it right then. They're in a bad mood. This is not a good place to do that. You want to wait for a better time. You want to be thoughtful of, or maybe for me, I get up really early in the morning. So if someone wants to give me feedback or talk to me at even 8 o'clock at night, it's too late for me. I go to bed at 9. I'm exhausted. I don't have any bandwidth left for that. So think of that. Is the person you're talking to a morning person, an evening person? Or when you're talking to them, are they all distracted with the kids or their work or a project they have due? Really be thoughtful. Set it up for success. So be careful of your timing. Number 4 is one of the most important, is you have to be in the here and now when you're giving feedback, which means you need to be present in the moment. Think how you're feeling. Wow, I'm feeling kind of anxious about having this conversation. I'm feeling tense. Or, wow, look at them. My partner's standing like this with their arms crossed, or there's just some weird energy going around. You really want to think about that and not have it present. So it could be the wrong time. It could just be that you have to name it and be in the moment and say, wow, I think this conversation is really hard for the two of us. I know it's hard for me. How are you feeling? You might want to start in that way to get everybody present in the moment. And you might even want to say, I do not want to attack you in any way. We are on the same team. I love you. If you're at work, maybe don't say that to your boss, but you know what I mean. And really set the stage for letting people know and bringing them into the moment so they're not distracted or somewhere else and having some sort of reaction to, some other feeling they're having about something else. So that's number 4. Number 5, you have to agree on definitions. I know this is so funny all the time. Really understanding what your definitions are when you're giving feedback. So I've had people, for example, I had a couple, it was a while ago, but where they talked about not drinking in the marriage. They were sort of doing like a kind of sober thing in the marriage. And they had been partying pretty hard, the two of them. And, so they were like, no, no drinking, no drugs. And the one partner was actually having like a beer at night. And this happened in session. And so the wife was sort of confronting him about having this beer at night. And he was like, and he kept saying, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking. And the two of us were looking at each other, and he's admitting, he's like, well, yeah, I have a beer at night, but that's not drinking. That's what he said. And I get it. He's not crazy. To him, that's not drinking. Drinking meant like going out, really partying, getting wasted, being lit. And that happens with words like saving. One partner thinks that saving means, every penny we can possibly put away. And another partner is like, yeah, so sometimes I say no to getting a brownie also when I get my latte, or something like that. They don't have brownies where I get tea. I think they should. Anyway, you know what I mean though? So there's these different, you have to agree on the definitions. You'd be shocked at how often those are different. And that's a lot of the miscommunication. And when you're giving feedback, you guys are on completely different pages about it. So number 6 is do not use the word never or always, no matter what. The joke, of course, is to say never. Don't use those words because they immediately discount everything you're going to say after. So if you're giving feedback and you say, you never do this or you always do this, immediately the other person is going to be thinking, well, I don't always and I don't never. I have sometimes done it correctly. I have sometimes, and they're immediately going to go to that and discount the rest of what you're saying because it's not true. It's literally not true what you're saying. So you lost your audience the second you use those words. So get rid of them. And then number 8, last one is, 7 and 8 go together. So let me just say that. So 7 is no lecturing. This is about loving acceptance. This isn't about you going off and on about, what you're so right about. This is about really being open, which goes into 8, which is about, it should be a dialogue. It should be a back and forth, which means that you need to ask a lot of questions. Questions are really important to have a dialogue. Not interrogation kind of questions, but what I call collaborative questions that are meant to open it up. Can you tell me more about X? If there's one thing that would really move the needle on this, what would it be? Questions that are meant to foster an opening as opposed to anything that's interrogating, like, well, why'd you do that? What were you thinking? That kind of thing. Those are not helpful questions. And asking permission before you even give feedback is a great thing because you're really opening up the conversation to say, hey, is this a good time to talk to you about X? Do you have 15 minutes right now? Is that okay to sit? Because I really want to, have a discussion about what happened yesterday. And that way the other person is really in the moment more like, oh, all right, we got to talk about that. And then they're giving permission. So saying that they're ready and willing to have this conversation, you will get much, much farther. So that's it. Those are my top 8 tips for giving great feedback to your partner or anyone else. I'm Dr. Abby Metcalf. I help people create lasting change in their relationships, even if their partner won't do a thing. And you can get a list of collaborative questions right underneath this video or around it somewhere so that you can get better at asking great questions because that's what I want you to be doing. Have a great day.